Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our podcast for Ahead in Account Recruiting. I'm Coach Coons along with Coach Porter and Coach Cart, and we've been talking here before we came on the air a ton of different topics. But go ahead, Coach Cart. What give us one that's intriguing now that you've been reading about.
Yeah, so I think it's really important. I mean, for all of our young listeners to really pay attention to a lot of the gambling indictments and infractions that are rolling out, because the reason that this is a big deal is every state has different laws, and so a lot of student athletes don't realize when they turn 18 that can become a really big deal if you're doing different types of sports betting and things like that. And so you want to be really aware and cognizant of all the laws and the problems that sports betting and sports gambling can get you into. So I think that's one like heed of advice to all of the younger players out there is you definitely have to be aware. I mean, we've got two Guardians pitchers that are probably not going to play baseball ever again because they've been linked to a gambling ring and they're indicted. And so this is a pretty big deal, and it's hitting on multiple levels. I saw where there were a handful of different basketball players at the NCAA level that have been involved through this investigation. So that's just something that, I mean, we never thought we'd have to talk about this before, right?
Right.
And now it's on our doorstep.
And it's not just on your sport. When you're playing a sport, you can't even do a football pool or a Final Four basketball pool because you never know who you're going to be dealing with that could hold that against you. These two Cleveland Indians guys, it involved pitches. I think the one pitcher was 2 or 3 pitches that changed the outcome of that game that somebody obviously has some pertinent information about. Otherwise, it wouldn't be mentioned like that. And I know college sports now. I think they actually sign waivers or sheets that telling you no gambling, no this, no that, because you're on your own if you do. There's nothing they can do about you if the NCAA comes in and finds that. Coach Porter, you had any?
I think I'm going to say it. I've said it every single week we've been on here, and I'll say it again. It's just all out of control. It's out of kilter. When we talk about the college game, wait, that's for amateurs, right? Is college sports amateur athletics? No, it's not. Not with the NIL. And by the way, I want to tell everybody out there that I am in favor of the NIL in the right system. Because as a former student athlete, you put yourself in those shoes. I want you to think about this. Let's use Steve Slayton, former West Virginia Mountaineer, got inducted WVU Hall of Fame yesterday. Steve Slayton played for the Houston Texans, was just really, really good at a really young age. Okay. Let's just say in 2005, when he's a freshman in college, he's going through Walmart, whatever, and there's Steve Slayton jerseys everywhere. There's so much merchandise. So from a standpoint of a college athlete, I get where they're like, you are giving me a full ride. Let's just say the school tuition fees, room, board, books, $30K a year. Let's just say times 5 with a red shirt. That's $150K. We'll be fair. That investment is $150K academically. Now, what's the investment athletically? What's it take to clothe a kid? What's it take to the training services? Blah, 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 blah. So we're well over probably easily into the 300K range in 2005 with an elite power at that point 5 I guess they didn't even have that then, did they? But with an elite athlete, West Virginia was a Power 5 or a Power 4 institution. So maybe even more than that, maybe upwards of 500,000. Okay, good, fair enough. However, you're making a lot more money. Someone's making a lot of money off of him. So what's the right answer and what's the wrong answer? I don't think it's right now where we're paying one dude $8 million and blah, 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 blah. If the proof's in the pudding, college coaches are getting out of the game. I think there's probably a sense of relief from some of these guys that are even being let go. I'm dead serious, right? You have probably the greatest, at least college football coach, if not the greatest college coach of all time going, and leaving college football, Nick Saban. You got to think that Tony Vitello, at some level, you have the lure of being the manager of the San Francisco Giants, knowing that it's going to be a lot different. I can't speak for him. I haven't watched the entire Barstool video, podcast or whatever, listened to it lately. But there's been clips of it, you got to think at some level, just the dealing with the NIL stuff, it seems like a major pain in the rear, to be quite honest with you. So I think it's out of whack. I'm in favor of it to some extent. Maybe it's, you got to graduate or I don't know the answer. I really don't know the answer, but it's no longer amateur athletics, right? The transfer portal's out of whack. I think everything's out of whack right now.
Right.
And at least the sport that, obviously I love, baseball. I think it's out of whack from youth all the way up, right? Youth all the way up. However, I do think there are some really, really cool things to it. One of the cool things is a college guy with no pro background now being the manager of the San Francisco Giants. I think that's awesome. Pat Murphy with the Milwaukee Brewers, that's awesome. Although Pat, Coach Murphy managed for a while, through all the way up through AAA and was a bench coach for a while. So I think that's good. I think some of the training stuff we're doing is good. I think there's a lot of things that are good in baseball, but we are out of whack, I think, in sports to a large degree. So I'm not surprised by any of this, to be honest with you. Money talks. We know that. And it's disheartening. Obviously, we don't know all the facts yet, but I think it's extremely disheartening. And, so that's kind of my 2 cents for whatever it's worth.
And I'm a huge Tony Vitello fan. I followed his career. I've been down to the SEC tournament. I've watched him coach. People tried to start things that there was something going on because he left that position and this and that. He left that position to move up his career. He didn't leave that position to go to another college. Is he making more money with the San Francisco Giants? I don't know, but I'm sure he was making pretty good at Tennessee.
I don't think he is. I think he took a pay cut. Did
That's
I read that correct?
I think he might have made that jump because there could be less headaches in getting players to play for you because now he can go back and just he can coach again.
So now,
that's what I'm saying. That's exactly my point. I think it's awesome he's doing it.
Buster Posey's your GM, and your 2 advisors are Dusty Baker and Bruce Bochy, right? Those are his 2 advisors that they've hired. I mean,
yep.
That's a pretty good setup, man. Like, the Giants. It's the Giants. Like, it's pretty elite company.
Oh, my hat's off to him because I think A, it's going to be a great career move for him, and B, he's not going to go home nights with a headache trying to think of, did I offer this kid enough money? Because the other 4 SEC schools are still talking to him. Those types of things.
But it's a different can of worms. And for him, for him, the way I view it is a very low risk. I mean, seriously, What's the worst that's going to happen to him? What's the worst thing that's going to happen to him as the manager of the San Francisco Giants?
Yeah, they tell him to go home and they buy him out. Right?
And then he goes and gets another Power 4 job and wins another national championship. And looks and goes, well, I mean, we went out of the box here, but I think it's awesome. I think he's a brilliant baseball coach. He's
Nick Saban
top
do?
of the line, huh?
What did Nick Saban do? Went to the Dolphins, right? LSU won a natty.
Yeah.
Went to the Dolphins. Went to Alabama.
You know, when he left Nick Saban left the Dolphins on his own.
Right.
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 He didn't he was like, well, we don't have a quarterback. They improved a lot when he got there. And but he had coached in the NFL before.
Yeah.
People
yeah, a little bit.
forget that he was Bill Belichick's defensive coordinator with the Cleveland Browns. He's been in the NFL.
But
You know what I mean?
Vitalo's got a situation where if he was to leave the San Francisco Giants after a year, he'd be the number one coach in the country that colleges will want.
No question.
Like that.
So that's what I'm saying. He's in a win-win right now and goes home and doesn't have to buy an extra bottle of extra strength Tylenol because he's doing all this stuff behind the scenes that pertain to nothing other than having a business management degree, trying to figure out how I can buy this person.
Yeah. And I think that people at face value look at it as like, oh, wow, it's such a risk. The risk is obviously on the Giants' end. The risk isn't on his end. I'm going to tell you that right now. He's playing with house money now. Is it going to be a high stress? Absolutely. I'm not saying any of that. But the worst thing that's going to happen, right, is they're going to go 70-92, and he's going to get a Power 4 job and win another national championship. That's the worst thing that's going to happen. Mm-hmm. But Buster Posey's going to put people around him to ease him into this. And I think he's going to be successful at doing it. I don't think that the strategy piece is going to be the hardest thing for him.
No.
I don't think the strategy of the game, I think there's some managing the pitching staff a little bit differently, right? Because you're playing every single day as opposed to Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturdays they do in the SEC sometimes. That's going to be different, right? Managing the staff. However, you have this abundant staff of analytical people that are probably going to have a little bit more say with this manager than some others, right? So you've got that, and I get it. But really, it's going to be high stress. He's going to be stressed. Huh?
I'd love to be a fly on the wall for those discussions because.
Speaking of that, go ahead.
No, I mean, because you got to think about this, right? So in this day and age, probably every GM gets a report every morning, and it breaks down the decisions that your manager made from a probability perspective, from an analytics perspective. And so every GM gets a report probably every morning. And it says he made this decision in this inning, this decision in this inning, this decision in this inning. And this is the outcome that we projected that it would have resulted if he would have gone in a different direction. So now you're in a meeting every day with your GM or whoever and your analytics folks who might not be your friends ever. So
here's the thing. If you ever listen to, I listened to a podcast the other day, and it's, what is it? Mike Moustakis. What's the podcast? I listen to it all the time. I'm just drawing a blank. Anyway, Ron Washington was on it in 2024 when he just got hired by the Angels. And they talked about how he integrates the analytics piece as an old school manager into game planning. And it was really interesting. All right. And it was really cool. So I'm like 3/4 of the way through it. I was actually at a professional development and I was able to listen to it and stuff like that. But he talked about how, like, day one, week one, he got the analytics people together. And he says, basically, I'm a baseball person. You're a math person. I don't know what you do. You don't know what I do. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to work together. That doesn't mean you're going to basically make my decisions. What that means is I am going to be receptive to what you're saying. You're going to be receptive to what I'm saying. So him and Eric Young, I think Eric Young was his bench coach.
Yes.
They went and stayed with the analytics department, like a couple of their guys who are non-baseball guys, who are non-like players. Like, all right, I'm a player. Let me teach you about this game. Then they taught him about his analytics stuff. So what they would do is they would bring him stuff. He would meet with them every day. They would bring him stuff. This is fascinating because you just got to love Ron Washington. My former college teammate, Dustin Nippert, pitched for the Rangers with Ron Washington. But what he talked about was how he would be like, prove it to me, show me. So then he would go away and be like, okay, so let's just talk about defensive positioning. That's a major one, right? They would give him defensive positioning stuff. They would talk about it as a coaching staff, see what they liked, what they didn't like, go back to the analytic people and say, we're going to start implementing this tonight before the game. And I guess like a couple clubs like took advantages of it and they got beat. But then by the fourth game of the series, they started doing really well with it, right? I like the defensive positioning piece of the analytics, right? I like the shift, which you can't really do it like you used to. I like the defensive positioning stuff. How they handle some of the pitching staff stuff is where I'm like, you know what I mean? You know, you can go back to that, you know, that whole thing with Kevin Cash and the, you know, what was it, Blake Snell, right? Was it him? And what some of that stuff, I think that's where a manager's feel comes in. That's where I think that, like, Brian Snitker, who just obviously retired, Terry Francona, Madden, you know, that's where I think that, you know, Alex Cora, you know, AJ Hinch, you know, Council, those guys I think are really good with that stuff. That's where, and I think that they're in positions where they can say to the end, like, no, we're not, like, we're gonna do this. So I think that's where you got to bridge the gap to good guy, somebody, and he went on to talk about how you give me these numbers, show me what you're talking about, and show me how I can apply them. You can't just give me stuff that I don't know how to apply. Right. So it was actually really cool. It was actually really cool. So,
you know,
and it's
you had talked about risk before. I think that's a great point for the business we're in. Like with Vitalo, the Giants are taking the risk because he's an established guy. He can always have a job somewhere. They're taking a risk on him not having that experience. People we're talking to, there's not a lot of risk there either, kids-wise. The risk is on the coach. Why should I take you? You know, you hold all the cards. So, you know, making a big tie-in to go to what we do with players, and this is softball or baseball, is do you have the right cards in your deck that a coach is willing to take that risk for? Because guess what? They spend this much money on you or give you this scholarship or this financial aid. And I'll tell you, right down to Division III, there's financial aid that's a different name. They'll call it what they need to call it. But why should they take the risk with you? And I think that's where we come in. I think that's a great point you made about the Giants assuming all the risk. Well, our clients don't have the risk. They should enjoy this ride because we're going to put them in touch with people who value our decision or value our input to set their mind at ease that there is not risk with this student athlete. And I use student athlete cautiously because with NIL and everything, I don't know if it is a student athlete anymore. It's more of athlete. And, but I think that's how you have to look at risk in our business. We are at risk, number one, because we are pushing you and our name is out there. We are also putting the risk the coach because he's taking our word on what our recommendation is for you and going to try to put you in his system or her system. So I think that was a good point you made there. I know I switched gears a little bit.
Yeah. No, but that's right, because the risk is on us. And if you're a recruit out there listening, right, and the majority of the recruits that we're going to deal with are going to be probably D2, NAIA, JUCO, D3 kids, right?
Right.
For now. And what you're going to do is the risk is really low. You're going to pick a program, you're going to pay a great deal for what we're able to do for you. A deal that's probably, I don't have that in front of me, but probably the best in the business. Honestly.
Yeah.
That's probably the best deal you're going to get given the amount of experience that we have. We're going to evaluate you for free right off the top. Off the top. We're going to talk about.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we're going to talk about your interests, your desires, whether or not we're a good fit, what we think for you. You're going to call us. You're going to have complete access to our personal cell phones. When I get off the phone with you, or when we get off a Zoom call and we show you our slide deck and all that stuff, I'm calling coaches who are in my cell phone, who I know that are going to help you. And guess what? If there's a school that this is wild. Baseball is a small world. If there's a school you want to go to where we mutually feel your ability level fits, your academic profile fits, blah, 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 and I don't know somebody on that staff, the chances are I know somebody that knows somebody on that staff.
No question.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's a former player or whatever, and we're going to go. I'm not going to sit down, and emails are great. I'm not going to sit down and shoot out 250 emails that a coach isn't going to read for you. I mean, yeah, I'm going to send emails for you and messages and stuff like that, but we're going to directly contact these coaches. Direct contact, phone, text, blah, blah. Yeah, of course, some emails, but and you can pay any company to shoot out computer-generated emails on your behalf that are going to get read about 20% of the time.
Less than that.
Or you can go with people who actually know the person on the other end of the phone and say, blah, blah, blah. And if I don't know them and I pick up the phone and call them and I say, yeah, 20-year Division II head coach, these schools, blah, 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 blah. I got this kid for you.
Mm-hmm.
I got this guy for you, right? I've seen it. And here's the other thing. we're going to evaluate you by your video. We would love to evaluate you in person.
Right.
And if it's possible, we'll go to you or you come to us and see you in person. In person. Because the coach is going to be, well, you just, is this a bit? No. I saw this person, this kid in person. In person. Hopefully in a game. Blah, I mean, all that stuff. We can write detailed scouting reports on you. So
Well,
that's what we're offering.
2 points with that. Think about this for a second. I'm not saying all, a lot of coaches will get lists, whether it be Perfect Game, whether it be USA Softball, whether it be this, and this. They'll get a ranking. And they'll give that list to an office assistant and say, can you input these and send letters out to the top 25? And they'll send it out in their fancy envelopes that have the school name written across the front in all colors and everything. And a lot of times, a lot of people that get those letters think, hey, this is cool. They're interested in me. And they maybe saw your name on a list. Maybe never saw you, but saw you made a list.
Or it's a third party. Or it's a third party camp.
Correct.
We've gone through that.
Third party. Where we can change that narrative is how many of those letters you're getting where the coach follows up with a phone call, not to invite you to their camp, but call you because we got your name and we'd like to have you come up here so we can see you. How many follow up with that? And that's where we come in to help that.
We can cut the minutia out. Like, guys, I am a high school coach now, 4 years. I get letters all the time that say on the top left, this Division I, this Division I, this Division I, for kids that aren't even on my team.
Right.
Because they filled out something on some sort of, whatever, I don't know, standardized test.
Right.
Aren't even on my team. And we're getting letters from major universities, not on the team, wouldn't make the team. Let us cut this out. And when you open it up, you see the fine print. And the bottom line is this is what people don't get. You've got assistant coaches on these staffs that are getting paid by these companies to work camps. They send out letters on your behalf, on their behalf, asking you to go. That's the way it works. And then all of a sudden, you've got kids who throw 78, think they're going to a Power 4.
Right.
That is 100% some of the things that go on. Let us help you out with that.
My second point was the three of you can see us on your screen. 3 of us right here. I haven't even totaled up our years of experience. I know I'm 31 at the college level. All across the board, we're close to 100 years of experience coaching. Number 2, Coach Card at the end, professional analytics. He does mental evaluations and professionally certified in that to make sure that you can handle the pressure of that school or that sport. Coach Porter has been in the same position with me. We've been head coaches. We've been recruiting coordinators. We have been through the wars. We've sent out thousands of letters hoping to get 2 or 3 kids to respond. That type of thing. That's the nature of the beast. I can't tell you when I coached college, I would go to a practice, have practice, jump in the car, drive 3 hours, see a game that night, 9-inning game, jump back in the car, 3 more hours back, do an evaluation, talk to the kid on the way back on the phone, and then guess what? start it all over again the next day.
Been in the trenches.
We've been in the trenches. We know. And are we an asset? 100%. 100%. The kids that have worked with us, we've all placed. We've got them in. You want a workout program that fits you personally, we've got the guy. It'll be set up for you. The little things like that. So, I think what you need to do is check out our website. And if you've got a question, pick up the phone and call. Because guess what? You're going to have to make a tough call sooner or later to a coach or somebody else. Call us. Ask the question. Hey, look, what about this? We'll answer it. We're not a nickel and dime shop here. We'll I can't answer that unless you pay me $25. That's not how it works with us. We're here to help you. But let's take and get together again next Sunday about the same time.
Next Sunday, 8 o'clock. Yep.
Sunday, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central. I don't even know what it would be Pacific. Probably 5 o'clock, somewhere out there. But close to that. We'll hope to have a guest on. And until then, we'll check us out at hiddenaccountrecruiting.com. We will see you next Sunday.